Hello everybody and welcome back to Isaiah Mildy's Cinema, where I just review movies here. That's all it is. Nothing fancy. I don't do any like weird gimmicks or anything. I just talk about movies that I've seen. This is coming late. I watched this movie like 2-3 weeks ago, and I just haven't gotten around to doing the review because I've been working on my main channel and my live channel and doing a lot of stuff over on those two. But I finally have time now. On the day this is probably going up. Oh boy. I have a whole thing in notes that I took. These are all notes I took during the movie. If you're new here, this is more of like a casual review kind of thing. I'm not here super psychoanalyzing specific things. Here's my feelings when I watched it. The notes that I took. We're going to keep it casual. There are going to be spoilers in this one. If you want a no spoiler version, I will be posting a short. That's how I do the reviews here. I do a full video with all the spoilers I can talk about, and then I do a short video with no spoilers. And I do end it with the review score, but I do my review system a little bit differently because I use a 7-point system instead of a 10-point system, because I think of it as more of a level of recommendation instead of a pure rating of quality. Such as, look at, I'll have to put a visual on here to help explain it, but look at 4 as a perfect midpoint, where I don't recommend it or not recommend it, and then there's just 3 layers of good and badness on each side of that. So without any more dilly-dallying, let's get into the review. I have to say, first and foremost, going into the movie, I thought, and this is not indicative of what you're going to hear after this, but I thought beforehand that it was going to suck. I had almost no expectations for this movie. I can't fucking speak today! I'm not a real big fan of Superman. In the first place, I've always thought he was kind of a boring hero. But Subdog Rainbarf, who you might know if you watch my main channel, he's in a lot of gameplay videos and stuff. He was excited to watch it, and he watched it, and he was going on and on about how great it was. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna watch it. So I did, and here we are. So here's my notes. Let's start. These should be about in order when things happened. Sometimes I forgot to take something down, and then I wrote it down later, but this should follow the events of the movie pretty decently. At the start, I really don't like... Okay, so it can work starting the movie in the middle of the action, or even on a loss, but we don't see any of the action that leads to that loss. We start the movie with the one trailer that I had seen before it came out of Superman like crashing into the snow, and Crypto comes over and like beats him up and then takes him to the fortress of whatever. And honestly, that would be fine if it was then followed by some kind of explanation of why that's there. But instead, they preceded that by just having text fading to the top of the screen. 3 decades ago, a boy was born on a foreign planet. 3 years ago, that planet got blown up and that boy was sent to Earth. 3 days ago, a new villain called the Hammer. 3 hours ago, Superman fought the Hammer. 3 minutes ago, Superman got his ass kicked by the Hammer. Like, that's pretty much what it was, and I thought that was a really bad way of starting a movie, because I don't think anyone who's showing up to a movie theater or popping a DVD into their TV is doing it because they want to read exposition at the start. They're doing it because they want to watch a movie. That's just how I felt. I thought that was a bad way to start it. Also, I don't know what Crypto is supposed to be, like what kind of dog he originally was, but he was just He's an ankle biter in this movie. He's a goddamn ankle biter. Very quickly after that, actually, we're introduced to Lex Luthor because Superman goes to fight him right instantly again. But not Luthor himself. He goes to fight the hammer guy that we were told about. Which is like big iron suit thing, like an Iron Man situation. And then we're introduced to Lex Luthor, who's like in his building. And the whole thing with Lex Luthor in this movie is that he's actually controlling the hammer. He's got like this whole squad of people at their computers tapping away. And he's just yelling like commands like A46, B17. And they're all like, there are like keywords for different attacks, for different moves. And then the people on the computer type in these A51, B14, whatever. And then the hammer outputs that move on Superman. And somehow, apparently, Lex Luthor, I guess he's supposed to be really smart because he's able to know, like, he's obviously too weak himself to do anything, but I guess he's smart enough to know exactly how to beat the crap out of Superman. He just needs someone stronger to do the moves as he inputs them. Lex Luthor is a goddamn esports captain in this movie, and I don't know how I feel about that. He himself is absolutely pathetic because he's just running around these people that are basically just tapping away at a video game of the hammer. Like, oh, make sure you do the Hadouken on him. It was really funny though, so I guess I can't knock it too hard for that. But yeah, he's an esports coach in this one. Also, Superman, when we get revealed his Clark Kent disguise a little bit after this, and they really gave him the yee ass haircut. Seriously, you couldn't just like straighten the hair. There's a scene quite soon after where Clark Kent agrees with Lois Lane. Again, we're jumping in the middle of the story, so they already know each other. I don't know exactly how there's like build up to their relationship or anything, because again, not super well versed in Superman. I haven't seen the previous movies, the Henry Cavill ones, or any of those. I haven't read any of the comics or seen the shows, so I'm going into this with the I'm looking at what's presented to me in the movie itself, no external factors. So that's why my score might be different than yours, even if we have like the same thoughts and opinions, because mine is also not influenced by anything on the outside or any knowledge of anything that happens outside of it. But he and Lois are already together, and he agrees to do an interview with her as Superman. And it's weird. I thought the interview was weird. The scene is like 10 whole minutes long. I don't have an actual timestamp for it, but it felt like 10 minutes long, and I feel like we got almost nothing out of it. All we learn in the interview is that he apparently there's a conflict in the Middle East with some country. I don't remember what they called it. I'm pretty sure they were fake countries. It was just a really weird scene because it goes on for so long, and it just ends up being this like couple fight where they're going, oh, that's off the record, you can't put that in there, I can't put that in there, what do you do, I do it. And it's like, you know, Clark's over here like, yeah, I did a good thing, I saved the people there, I ended the war. And then Lois is like, excuse me, Mr. Superman, you didn't do things the way that our government would have supported, and that's bad. For some reason. It's just really weird, and then it ends with her like storming off to the kitchen. She's like, I knew this wouldn't work out, and he's like, huh, what's that mean? She's like, nothing, and then he just walks out like a dumbass. Like, okay. First off, was that supposed to be like a big major fight for a relationship? I didn't get that at all. It just seemed like a minor disagreement. I don't see why anyone would be as upset as either of them were over all that. Also, he was right, because who cares? Who cares how the government thinks it should have been handled? If you are a superhero, you can stop it. Just, like, I don't know, do it. Maybe this is why I'm not in the government. After that, we're introduced to the Green Lantern Gang, or as they call it, the Justice... Was it Squad? Justice Squad or Justice Gang? It was Justice Gang. Yeah. We're introduced to the Justice Gang, which is Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, and Mr. Terrific. And Mr. Terrific... I'll put this out here right now, because... it's just a fact. Mr. Terrific is the best character in the entire movie. And I wasn't expecting that, because I was so distracted the first time he showed up on screen, because he's from House MD. He's one of the actors from season 4 of House, and I saw him, and I got so distracted for a little bit, because I was laughing, because I was like, what the hell? I've never seen this dude in anything else. I recognized a lot of actors here. Green Lantern in this movie is stupid. Like, not stupid in his inclusion, but like the guy is actually just dumb. I don't know how accurate that is to Green Lantern, because again, no outside context, but he's just such an ass. He's such a dick. Also, why does he look like Owen Wilson?
Wow.
I have a note here for Hawk Girl. The only note I wrote down is Hawk Twa, and I don't really have a way to rope that in here organically, so there you go. When she popped up on screen, the only thing I thought to write down was Hawk Twa, because she does nothing in the movie. She has like one scene. Her whole thing is being a sassy Latina. Also, she's played by Dora. The actress for Hawk Twa is Dora from the live-action Dora movie. And that was weird. There's another reporter at the... I almost said Daily Bugle. God damn it. What's the Superman one? Daily Planet? I don't know. There's another reporter that like works alongside Lois. And I don't remember his name in the movie. He looks like a Jimmy. But I don't think that's right. I don't remember his name in the movie. But he was distracting because I know that kid from frickin' everything. Pop some visuals up on screen of things that I've seen him in, but that kid was in everything when he was younger. The CGI is not the worst, but there's a big CGI scene right after all that with like I think it was in a trailer beforehand that I hadn't seen, but it's like this big monster thing that shoots fire and stuff, and the CGI in this movie is garbage. The CGI is terrible. So especially, there's another scene, like the fire in that monster shooting the fire is awful. And there's another scene where Lex Luthor finds his fortress of frozenness and like destroys all of his robot helper dudes, and it looks so bad. It looks terrible. He stops the action to save a squirrel. And that's one of my favorite scenes, because that's cool. I like that. I will say there's too many like slow-mo shots that I'm going to say that they're just trailer bait. There's a lot of times where it does a slow-mo and you can tell it's just a shot specifically to make a good trailer, but I don't know why it made the full movie, because they do it so many times. And honestly, I think I have this written down a little bit further down, but I think part of why I think Superman is a little bit boring of a villain is that most of his like tense moments, I don't know why they write it like this, but most of his tense moments where he has to like race against time or something, or try to save someone, it's always something's about to fall on top of them and he shows up right at the last second to hold it up. And they do that so many times. So many. I think they happen like 5 times in this one movie. Like, it's fine the first 2 times, but they just did it too much. Green Lantern's little drill thing on that monster's eyeball was disgusting, and I don't want to see that again. That was way too detailed. Oh, I was very concerned for a minute because I wrote black woman character, and I don't think they gave us a name, so that's all I had to write. But the black lady that works for Lex Luthor, she's really weird, and I wrote she's dumb, but she's not dumb like Green Lantern is dumb. She's dumb in the opposite way, in that I don't like her inclusion at all because she adds nothing to it. And I don't think she's a robot, but she acts like a robot. The scene where not Lex Luthor. The scene where Mr. Terrific and Lois go to like the Middle East to find Luthor's wormhole, I guess, to find Superman trapped in a in-between dimension. Yeah, that's a thing. Because I completely forgot to take a note about the fact that Superman willingly agreed to go to Lex Luthor's holding cell in between a dimensional rift just because Luthor kidnapped Superdog, Crypto. That's a part. But Mr. Terrific like puts Lois in a little bubble shield to protect her, and then it does like a fight scene where the camera's following Lois in the bubble, like looking around and stuff, and just reacting to what's going on, while Mr. Terrific in the background is like swirling around, blasting the dudes, destroying them. And, you know, that kind of scene can be cool, but I really hate it when they just blast a pop song at max volume during that. I think it makes it so cheesy and dumb. I wish we got to spend more time with his Earth parents. Like, we're told that he has them at the start, because he gets like a phone call and we get like 2 lines of dialogue. And then after he escapes from the rift dimension here, he goes to see them. But we get one conversation with his dad, and it's like an Uncle Ben kind of talk. Where he's like, Superman, you're gonna do good. You gotta do good and be good. Oh yeah, I completely skipped over a part earlier where, I wrote this way after it actually took place. Because before, when Lex Luthor raided his ice fortress, he finds the tape of Superman's Kryptonian parents, who are like, go to Earth and be good. And he recovers the second half that was lost somehow. And then he plays it for the entire world to see. And it turns out the second half was, go to Earth and be good. As an enslaving ruler, take over them and kill them if they don't cooperate. And like, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't care. For the story here, I think it works just fine. But I think it came a little bit too early in the movie, because this is a long movie, and this comes in like the first third. I think that should have been a second, third reveal. On top of that, every single person actually believes it instantly, even if it's true, which it's shown that it is true. Every single person jumps on it. There's not a single person out there that's like, nah, that's fake news, that's fake media. Superman would never do that. He saved my dog. Like, not a single goddamn person. Do you know how the media works? Do you know how people work? And the explanation they give in the movie is just dumb and doesn't make sense in any world at all, because they're like, the media sources would have verified that it's actually real if they were ever going to put it out there. No, they goddamn wouldn't. That's not how they works at all. They put it out there the second they receive it, just because they want to be the first ones to do it. Yeah, that was dumb. Also, a lot of comments about Superman starting a harem. They're like, yeah, he came to Earth to enslave us and have a harem with our women. Like, okay. Last thing I was expecting in the Superman movie was talks about harems. At some point, the hammer is revealed to be, I don't remember what they called him, but it's like this guy in a black suit, and he takes off the hammer suit and he's just wearing the black suit, and he never puts the hammer suit on again. The thing we're introduced to the movie with, the hammer being his antagonist for the movie that beat him up at the start, No more hammer suit for 90% of the movie. So why? What was the point if he just doesn't need it? Because he still is fighting him off just as well using the Street Fighter esports coach combos. It's also revealed that the hammer is Superman. He's a clone of Superman. And that's why he's able to keep up. Because he's just an exact clone of Superman, but with Lex Luthor. Or, well, he's actually, like, really, like, brain dead stupid. But he's got Lex Luthor in his head, controlling him, telling him what to do, and how to do all these combos in time. And, like, fine. Evil clone can work. It's something I think is used a little too often, but if it's done well, it can work. And here it was done okay. The final fight scene was a little bit too long and repetitive. It was so long. At the very end, we're introduced to Supergirl, which is apparently Superman's cousin, which I didn't know if that's how it actually has always been. I did not know that. And also, logically, how does she work? Again, this is probably me just not knowing the source material, but I thought he was the only survivor of the planet blowing up. Was she sent to be evil and take over? I don't know. Crypto is her dog, too. Is Crypto supposed to be her dog? I thought he was just Superman's dog. They stopped the action because since he can just fly, a lot of the fight scenes are in the air. They're like flying around each other in the air, punching each other in the air. A lot of the fight scenes are, I think, hindered by this because it's tough to show impact when someone's in the air because there's no like wall or floor for them to like have any momentum on. So it's hard to have impact. So the best way to show that something was impactful is you have them like slamming into the ground, like out of the air and into the ground. And that happens so much. The action just stops for a second or a couple seconds just for someone to crash into the ground to show the impact. And I can't blame the movie itself because that's just a problem, I think, with trying to do a Superman movie. That's just something you have to do to show the impact there. But it is there. And also, he didn't use his freeze breath combatively once. There is one, maybe two scenes where he used the freeze breath. And one of them, I'm not even sure if it was the freeze breath. He just like super blew to push himself away from a black hole. And he never once used the freeze breath to actually freeze something or someone. I don't think ever in the movie, and it was weird. We got a scene with the laser. It was a pretty cool scene where he was spinning around and just lasering everything, and that was pretty awesome. I have a few extra notes here of just positive things that I liked about it. Like the cinematography. I thought the cinematography was actually really good in this movie. The CGI might not have been, but the actual camera work was, because in a lot of movies and shows and stuff where they get a little bit lazy with the cinematography, they go for just the simple someone speaking, camera is just still focused on them while they're speaking, and then someone else is speaking over here, and it just like does a straight up cut straight to them over here doing their speaking. And then it'll cut back to the other person when it's their turn to speak, or it'll cut to show their reaction to what they said. No, they did a lot of dynamic shots, where instead of just cutting to the person, they'll do like a little swoop of the camera to that next person, and I thought that was cool. I did notice the cinematography, and it was good. At the start of the movie, when he gets beat up, and his robot helpers take him in and they patch him up, they're like, "Would you like us to play the video of your parents? He finds it comforting." And then they do, and it's his Kryptonian parents that are like, "Go to Earth and be good." Without the second half. And at the end of the movie, after the second half is revealed, they pull the same thing. They're like, "Would you like us to show you the video of your parents? It's comforting." And then they show it, and it's like a collage of memories of growing up with his Earth parents. That's nice. I like that. That's nice. I just wish we got more time with them so we would connect more with that. Like, even if you speed ran it, doing like a build-up of him getting to where he was at the start of the movie would have been cool. And there was a lot of jokes. It kind of felt like they were going for the like MCU kind of comedy. Maybe not the exact same like style of jokes, but it was the same, I think, balance of seriousness to jokes. And I think it's a good change because for the most part, I'm pretty sure that all the DC stuff has been like the more dark and serious stuff, and that's how you get stupid shit like Superman v Batman with "Why did you say that name, Martha?" So I think it's a good change. Some of the jokes hit. Some of the jokes are pretty good. Some of them don't hit at all, and they're stupid. But you know, that's just a risk you take when you fill a movie with jokes. Not all of them are gonna hit. So that's my thoughts on everything. I took a lot of notes this time. This one's probably the longest one I've done, 30 minutes. Hopefully it's not too rambly. My overall thoughts. It was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I feel like it's getting a lot of really good reviews. I feel like if you're a big fan of Superman and you already have a ton of context from the comics or the previous movies or things, and you know a lot about the character, then there's a lot more you're gonna get out of it. But for me, not knowing any of that shit, coming into this movie basically blind, there's a lot of stuff that's in there that's just not for me. But there's a lot of stuff in there that is still not bad. So 7-point scale, overall, I give Superman a 4 out of 7. I think it's a alright movie. I can't recommend it or unrecommend it because, like, obviously it changes by person. If you really love Superman, absolutely, full recommendation, but you don't need my recommendation. If you love Superman, you're going to be watching it anyway. If you don't like Superman, I'm not going to recommend it, but I'm not going to say don't watch it if it, like, pops up or something. Like, it's fine. It's a decent movie. You might get a little bit more enjoyment out of it than I did. You might get a little less. So with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.